There's a story that's hugely important, but not necessarily for the reasons a lot of people think. The Chinese doctor who was the whistleblower about coronavirus has died. Now, immediately, a ton of articles and a ton of people started saying or implying the Chinese government killed the doctor and that's the scandal. The doctor appears to have genuinely died of coronavirus himself, which he contracted while working at Wuhan Central Hospital in China. The scandal and the controversy is that the Chinese government appears to have sent police to tell him to shut up about coronavirus after he sent out a warning via a chat group to other doctors on December 30th about coronavirus. We're talking about 34-year-old Dr. Li Wenliang, who was an ophthalmologist, noticed 7 cases of a virus that looked to him like SARS. He sent a message to doctors in a chat group saying you should wear protective clothing when you're with patients. 4 days later, as reported by the BBC, he was summoned by the Public Security Bureau, where he was told to sign a letter which accused him of, quote, making false comments that had, quote, severely disturbed the social order. He was one of 8 people who police say were being investigated for spreading rumors. Local authorities later apologized to him because, of course, he was completely right about coronavirus. But more importantly, a few days later, on January 10th, he started coughing. Then he had a fever. Then he was in the hospital, diagnosed with coronavirus on the 30th of January, and ultimately has passed away. So as of right now, I do not believe that the Chinese government killed him. I believe he died of exactly what he was worried about, which is coronavirus contracted from patients. The real concern is that the Chinese government has prioritized silencing doctors rather than immediately moving to deal with coronavirus. And I want to be really careful because the entire coronavirus story has been used in some enclaves to justify discriminatory and disgusting comments about Chinese people and Chinese culture. That's not what I'm doing. This is a critique of the Chinese government. Now, just to circle back around to the conspiracy theory piece, that the Chinese government killed this guy to silence him, that he didn't die of coronavirus. I'm not blind to the atrocities committed by the Chinese government over the last many decades. I'm not pretending they don't exist. We don't have evidence that that's what happened. So I don't believe that it is prudent or responsible to push it. Now, there are some people who said, this guy was 34. Coronavirus is really killing little kids and the elderly. How did a 34-year-old die of it? That's mostly true, but there are people of just sort of medium ages that have died of coronavirus. I'm not ignoring the possibility that there is more to this, but right now it does not seem responsible to push that the Chinese government killed this guy. It does seem that the Chinese government was more concerned with covering up the existence of coronavirus early on than in moving quickly and swiftly to actually deal with it. The latest numbers, 38,000 cases, 815 deaths, nearly 3,000 people have recovered so far. So far, there is a lower death rate with coronavirus than with SARS. The death rate is about 2%. With SARS, it was about 10 to 15%. But the number of infections is significantly larger, and more than likely, it's going to end up killing many more people. Very, very sad what's going on. And certainly anytime a government works to cover something up rather than to actually deal with it, it is concerning for the entire world as we are quickly seeing cases start to spread all over the world.